Hey guys, welcome to Careers Uncorked. I'm Sid.
And I'm Sharfuz, and we're so excited to be here today with everyone. Just it, frequently asked question, dude. What is Careers Uncorked?
So this is my third cup of coffee, so it's going to change from the definition that I gave last week, but cheers to that. But to just get us started off, Careers Uncorked is essentially this live stream series that we came up with because we were interacting with so many cool people, and we guys wanted you to have an inside view into these conversations. What's Careers Uncorked to you, Sharfuz?
Yeah, I think Careers Uncorked is a better way to spend my Saturdays, and it's basically a live video series where Sid and me we come with absolutely zero preparation, but we get the chance to talk to some incredible people in the industry and hear their amazing stories. And these are stories that I think we believe will benefit so many people out there, right? Right, Sid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, they've pretty much changed my life by just being able to talk to so many cool people. So
I
I'm
know.
definitely looking forward to you guys meeting all our guests.
Yeah, that's it. Like, speaking of the industry, dude. So one thing I was worried about recently is LinkedIn, because I had a LinkedIn account, started mine during first year in college, and I logged back in like 2 months ago, and I never understood how LinkedIn works. Like, what was your experience so far with it?
So LinkedIn's changed quite a bit. I actually remember in sophomore year in college when I was looking for a summer internship for my junior year, I got on LinkedIn and it was super professional. There was everyone with suits and ties, and I actually didn't even have a suit at that point, so I was embarrassed to even put up a photo. So that's my background with LinkedIn. But
Yeah, I think
since then it's definitely changed.
You're still embarrassed to put up a photo, dude.
I am. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to find a good photo.
Yeah, dude, so I never understood, and I see people getting so much reactions and tractions on LinkedIn, and I think that's why I'm so excited to speak to our guest today, because I think she's someone who did figure out how LinkedIn works and made some good use of it. So, like, dude, what do we know about her?
So Lauren, we met Lauren on LinkedIn.
Surprise.
Very funny story. I was actually scrolling to my feed and I came across this post that was absolutely going viral. And it was about Lauren. And she essentially had lost an internship due to the pandemic. Okay. And she just made a post about it. And it was absolutely crazy to see so many people respond, like, comment, and share it.
It was about like 500 plus people who reacted to that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think 500 people left LinkedIn after seeing my LinkedIn post.
That's not hard to believe. We had a couple of people drop off the live stream too right now.
Okay, but with all jokes aside, why don't we introduce Lauren?
All right, so Lauren, let's bring you on.
Hi everyone. Thanks Sid. Thanks Sharfuz for inviting me on to talk here today. Super excited to share my experience with everyone as well as you two. So thank you. I'm super excited to chat.
Lauren, you don't understand. We're a lot more excited than you are to hear your story because we are actually looking for some LinkedIn tips for ourselves too.
Okay, so
we definitely need those. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure. All right, sounds good.
So to kick us off, how about you start by just telling us a little about yourself, like your experience in college, what you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up my whole life in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area in California. So, surrounded by tech and computer science ever since I was growing up. I went to school, or I'm still going to school at Loyola Marymount University, which is in LA. It's a small private school. It's like 10 minutes from the beach. Pretty nice. I'm studying computer science there with a minor in business administration. I spent my last 2 summers interning at Google, and then kind of as you guys were talking, introducing me, I had an internship at Disney that, I would have been doing right now. However, that got canceled due to COVID-19. So I spent some time on LinkedIn and found myself another internship, and I just finished the end of my first week as a software engineering intern at SAP. Awesome. Wow. So, yeah, professionally, that's a little bit about me. On campus, I'm involved in Pi Beta Phi sorority for women, which is super, super fun. As well as I'm going to be the president my senior year for the Society of Women Engineers. And I was also on e-board for the last 2 years. So I'm really passionate about that org. So, yeah.
Wow. Let's just take a minute to digest that. That is absolutely insane. Lauren, you're killing it. Just to come back to that one thing you mentioned about the beach. For people who don't know, Sharfuz and I went to college in Rochester, which is the worst place to go to college.
Is the beach?
No beaches. It's we've got like 14 inches of snow every winter or something, so it's the complete opposite.
We do have a river, but you can walk over it.
Okay. You could maybe turn that into a beach if you really tried. I mean, here
Yeah.
at like 60 degrees, we're like, no one's going outside. Like, let's not like put on like the winter coats, the North Faces. So I would not know what to do with 14 inches of snow. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we were literally living Winterfell, like literally from Game of Thrones, we were living through Winterfell. Yeah, but no, thank you. Just I think that was a great way to just kick off. Thanks for sharing all the background, and I think it's because a lot of our people tuning in are college students, and I think it's who are still like either first year, sophomore, and a lot of us like probably juniors or seniors who just graduated. So I'm really curious to know, Lauren, like from your college extracurricular experiences, right? When you look back at it, what kind of significance did they have to get you where you are today as a rising junior? Like either like personal development or professional development wise?
Yeah, sure. So I guess something that I didn't necessarily mention was the summer before my freshman year of college. I did this program at LMU called the Google Computer Science Summer Institute program, which my mom like forced me to do it because like I like came into school as a math major and I was like, like I don't like computer science, whatever. And like I was gonna have to go to school like 3 weeks before like college started and like I wouldn't be able to see all my friends. So I like wasn't even that like excited about this opportunity. Like I didn't realize like how beneficial it would be. So basically the program is they take like 20 like incoming freshmen at LMU, they put you together and they give you a curriculum from Google as well as like our computer science department, and they teach you like a bunch of like programming languages, like how to use like APIs and all these other like really cool like technical things. And then in the last week you make a project. So I made a project with like it was me and like this other kid who was also a math major and then like one girl who was CS. And like basically we didn't really know what we were doing, but because of that like education that we got in the past 2 weeks, we made this like web application that like gives people like workouts and stuff. And it like ended up being really cool. So that like one like gave me like I realized that computer science is really like collaborative, so that made me switch my major from math to CS. So that's definitely like a very big turning point as to you know where I am today, obviously. And also like it introduced me to some of the people that one are in like all of my classes now as a junior, as well as just like collaborating with people in CS, especially coming from like the Bay Area. My high school wasn't like particularly a very friendly environment. Like people weren't very like into the whole helping other people succeed kind of vibe. So it's really great to come to LMU and everyone being like really collaborative and like helping you if you have questions. So that was really great. I met a lot of really awesome people, and then having basically like your own project that was completed before you even started college. When I applied for an internship at Google, they were like, whoa, this person has a project. So I think that's what made my profile stand out. And that's kind of what selected me for their like interview round, like many months down the road.
Wow. That's incredible. Honestly, that's really incredible. So you had that Google first like internship as a first year, like ending your first year, right? Like
yeah. So at the end of my first year, like I think maybe like a few days after my like 19th birthday, like I had like a call and they were like, oh, like we want to offer you an internship, and like
holy shit.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, like I was in my little like dorm room and I was like, oh my gosh, and I called my mom and she was like, are you sure it's not a mistake? And I was like, I hope so.
It's like the American Google. It's not like a different Google. Like
yeah, it's actually Google with a B instead. It's not
Google.
It was it's an off-brand one.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Like in my freshman year of summer, I think I'm still learning how to use Google search properly. So that's crazy.
That's a good skill to have, Shafuz.
I'm hoping that you know how to use it now.
I do. I had to Google like how to join this platform right now. You know, I had to Google this thing. But what really I found really incredible is like the project that you worked on. Like along with you mentioned the collaborative part, and that was also like that helped you with computer science in general. So I think an interesting, and Sid, feel free to jump in here because you are a comp sci. We both are comp sci majors, and we are always like looking to work on projects, and so many students are. I guess the interesting thing is, what should you know? Like, why should you work on a project like that collaboratively as a computer science major, especially early on during your career? Like, what were the benefits that you felt personally, like working on like a team group wise project like that?
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing for sure is making something that people will actually use. Like, I'm sure you guys experience that in your like low level CS classes. You're just like making these like weird small projects that are like very hypothetical and like no one's actually going to use them. Or at least that's kind of what my experience was, is we just kind of made a lot of programs where I was like, I don't really know if this has any like benefit to it. So definitely like it's really good one to just like learn how to make a project that has like multiple different languages so you can learn how those relate, because obviously, you know, when you work in the industry, you're not just going to be looking at like one language, you're going to be looking at multiple, because different files, different languages do different things. So that's really important. And also just that kind of attitude of being like a self-starter, I think really stands out to companies, especially if you don't have that much computer science experience, to be like, hey, like I made this project, it's not much, but I mean, it's more than most of my classmates can say. And I feel like people really respect that, and definitely like adults in the industry really appreciate like younger people just trying their best and trying to learn things, especially with computer science. There's a lot of resources that are available online, even if you aren't able to do like sort of like a very structured program like I did. There's definitely ways to do that. So I would definitely recommend it. I think it really like boosts the resume and kind of shows that passionate about computer science outside of just your classes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just to jump in there really quick, I think it's really cool that you actually worked on the workout app, because one of the projects that I remember working on was a game of tic-tac-toe. And I was like, I've been playing that since I was like 10 years old. Like, I don't know why I'm making this again.
It was an AI class?
It was, yes. It was a cool project, but it was like, this already exists. Like, I'm not doing anything creative here. So that's really cool. But wait, workout. So speaking about that, this is like the perfect time for that app. So I'm not sure if it's still around, but during quarantine, I've really struggled to work out. So if it's still there, I mean, I would totally want to use it.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is definitely, if you visit it, it definitely looks like it was made by 3 people who have not taken a single college computer science class. I will give you that disclaimer right now. It was definitely something that was very cool for the skill level that we had. But, you know, if I'm going to do my quarantine workouts, I'm not going to log on to my own little website and do that. But yes, you know, hopefully maybe there's one person out there that found it and they're doing our little workouts that me and 2 others put up 3 years ago.
Workouts are everlasting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I noticed that I think from your website that you were also like a Forbes under 30 scholar kind of a thing. I was really curious about like what was that?
Okay. Yes, I will elaborate on this. So since I know you guys graduated recently, I'll kind of like explain it. So there was this thing going out. It was like a private like link that kind of was shared through word of mouth. And basically you could like apply. It had like a few questions like, oh, like, why do you think you did? I don't know, like what makes you special? I don't know, questions like that.
Yeah.
And you apply and they were like, we choose like 1,000 college students from like America. And then if you're selected, you get basically discounted admission to this like Forbes under 30 summit that they have in like Detroit in October.
Cool.
Yeah, so I applied and they were like, we will get back to you within 2 weeks if we want you. And I was like, okay, I applied. I did not hear back within 2 weeks. So I was like, it's all good. I'm not a Forbes under 30 scholar, whatever. And then like a few like weeks later, like maybe like it had been 6 weeks since I applied, I got an email and they were like, oh my gosh, like congratulations, like you got it. And I was like, okay, like kind of weird because they like seemed really sad about this 2-week deadline. So I was like, all right. And then I went on LinkedIn and I saw that there were just like posts like everywhere from people being like, I'm a Forbes under 30 scholar, I'm a Forbes under 30 scholar. So like that's the one misconception, is like the fact that it's like under 30. Like people think there's only like 30 of them, but they claim there were 1,000. But I think because possibly like people didn't register for the conference, like I don't know, they like accepted a lot more people like after, and like there were like a few more like LinkedIn posts where like people were like, oh my gosh, like this thing is like a sham, like whatever, like
wow.
I don't know. I was talking to some of my other friends that like got in, and we were kind of like comparing it to like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Fire Festival. Like, that was like advertised like this huge thing. They were like, oh, like Serena Williams will be there, and like there's gonna be like a concert aspect to it too, with like like Lil Yachty and like at like big time. Like, this is like, I don't know. I was like, this is kind of sucks. And also like again, California, like October. like that weekend that like I could have gone, like it was going to be like 70, 75 in California. It was going to be like 40 in Detroit.
Mhm.
So I was like, no, like I don't really know about this one. Like I didn't go to like the conference. I know a few people who did. They learned a lot of really cool stuff. But basically like I didn't really like advertise it once like I like got in, quote unquote, because I wasn't really sure like how exclusive it actually was to get in. But basically once I found out my internship got canceled, I was like, you know what, like we're just gonna like go full force here and like market myself the best way I can. And like the whole Forbes under 30 scholar thing like sounds really cool, especially if you like don't really know like how like that like they maybe accepted more people than they originally said they were going to. So I put it on my like little post, I added it to my profile, and like some people actually did like LinkedIn message me and they were like, oh, like I see you are this. So honestly, like it's not as cool as it sounds, honestly. Like I think it's one of those like really fun like
things
facts you can like put on your resume, but it's definitely not like something that'd be like really like flex all the time.
I think you should definitely flex it, and I think I like this mindset that you mentioned, that just marketing yourself with the best of your ability. And honestly, Sid, you and I see that, right? So many students they just market themselves to the best ability, right? So I think definitely there's some good props there, I guess, and some good notes there. Like Sid and I are barely like we were scholars in our own school. Forget Forbes. So
that's very true. That's very true. I was about to say that. Thanks for mentioning that, Lauren, because I think there is so many people who are so confused about this, and you've sort of like let out that trade secret.
Yes.
So now it might be a little undervalued.
Yeah. Now you guys know if you see other people that are Forbes under 30 scholars, like it's cool, but it's definitely not something to be like end all be all. We like we respect this person so much because I don't necessarily know how. I don't know how many people they ended up accepting at the end, but I just feel like I saw so many LinkedIn posts that I like got very suspicious of it after like a certain period.
Many of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know, like said, we definitely really want to know a lot more about like your job experiences. But there is one thing I definitely wanted to like ask you about, which was that. So me and Sid, we had this pretty. So we were very involved in college, like with our extracurriculars and stuff, and that's something we really advocate for. So I kind of want to hear from you a little bit more about like how did like, because you were involved with the Society of the Women's Engineering and also like and the Greek Life Organization as well. Like, what would you recommend for students to be involved with extracurriculars, especially who are first years or sophomores, and what should they look for when they're trying to like find out their passion on what to get involved with?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, like as a freshman, like I wish I joined more stuff. Like I would say like the best way to go about it is like sign up for a bunch of stuff and like go to like all of their like first meetings and kind of like see if you vibe with it. If you don't, like it's fine. But I feel like freshman year and sophomore year, like those are the times where you can really kind of just like show up to club meetings and like maybe not know anyone or not go with anyone, and like people won't really judge you. So I would definitely say like if you're like an incoming freshman or incoming sophomore, like honestly just like go for it, because like I heard about Society of Women Engineers. I think some of the like executive board members like came into one of my computer science classes, and I was like, oh, like this sounds kind of cool. I don't really like know much about it, but like I'll go. And I think I went with like one of my friends, and obviously it ended up being a huge part about like my college experience and like my involvements. So I definitely like encourage people to get involved, and like maybe instead of just like being a member in like multiple organizations, like pick like 1 to 3 and like really like pour your time into that, and like go to their events, get to know the people, and try and hold leadership positions so you can have an impact on the organization itself.
Absolutely, for sure, just like having that leadership impact. And as you were, I guess, as you were pursuing your internship opportunities, right? Did that come into a big play when you were talking about your experiences and all during your interviews? So, like for example, with Google.
Oh, like my extracurriculars?
Yeah, extracurriculars. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are really, especially if it's something that's kind of like engineering oriented, people love to hear about that on interviews. especially a lot of companies now are really putting like a high emphasis on diversity and inclusion. So if you're like, I'm really passionate about this, like women in STEM, women in engineering, and like you have that evidence, like you're like, I'm the treasure, like I do this, like I manage this, and like it's really awesome. It's like it makes me like really happy, like I'm really fulfilled in this organization. They'll be like, wow, like she's really like she has that attitude that like she promotes minorities in the field. And I think that's really great. Like, I think people really enjoy hearing about that on interviews. I like to mention it just because I think it's a big part about who I am, especially Society of Women Engineers. It's been a really big part of my life for the past like 2-3 years. So yeah, I would say that people definitely like to hear about that on interviews, and just, again, kind of like projects, like they just like to know that you do something in college that's not just classes. Like they want to see you kind of go that extra mile and like get involved with your campus, things like that.
No, absolutely, for sure. Just like making your profile in a way, along with your projects and along with your extracurriculars. I don't know. It becomes a big part of your story, right, Seth? Like, I think it works same as for you, right? Right?
For sure. I think definitely in the conversations that you have during interviews, I think there's such great points to bring up that you've actually been contributing to something you care about, as opposed to just being a part of classes and just learning, you know, like being able to demonstrate that you're actually using what you learn.
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of like, even with like a resume, like once you have like those projects and like those other like involvements, I feel like your resume kind of like tells more of a story about who you are as a person, rather than just like some robot that knows how to code. Because like I'm talking about like exercise and like well-being, so like that's kind of reflected in my like workout project, and like obviously passionate about like women in like STEM, and that's also reflected by like my leadership experience there. So I think that's also really important, because I think that, again, like makes you stand out from other applicants that maybe just have like the pure like technical experience in like class and internships.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So here's something I'm very curious about, right, Lauren? So you mentioned the first time around your mom introduced you to the program at Google. What approach did you take your sophomore summer to get the internship at Google? Like, what was your process that you went through for the job application, or like what exactly was that like, and what recommendations would you have for people as they do look for internship opportunities?
So for my second summer at Google?
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty boring story. At Google, basically, you can just say like, I would like to be considered for another internship, and you just like check this box.
Oh,
and on your last week of work, you like fill out, you're like, this is like some links to some code that I did that I think is like pretty cool. And then you fill it out, and then basically someone will call you within like 2 months of the end of your interview, and they were like, hey, like, you want to come back for another year? And I was like, yeah, pretty cool. So that was pretty anticlimactic there, but definitely for people that are in like their first or second years, a lot of the like traditional software engineering internships, they're kind of only looking for people that either one, have already had an internship, or two, are going to be rising seniors. So there's a lot of programs that are meant for people that are only in their first or second year. Like Google had their engineering practicum program, which is again how like that program that I got into my first summer. And I know there's a lot of big companies that do that. Like I think Facebook and like EA and Microsoft, like they all kind of have similar programs. And what I liked about it is obviously if you're fresh out of freshman year, you're going to be really terrified to work in like a team full of Google engineers. So there's 2 interns on the team, and like sometimes you guys will be working on like the same project or similar projects. So it's a really great way. So to like get involved, like see industry even when you're an underclassman. So I would definitely recommend like people that are first and second years to look into those programs, because I only knew about the Google one my freshman year. So I applied to that one and maybe like one other random internship that was like not really like meant for first years. So definitely look into like the programs that they have for first and second year students. And I think that will definitely increase your chances of being able to get that experience early on in college.
Wow, that's so exciting. I mean, it does sound like a boring story, but it's like industry insight that people don't really know about. So that's really interesting to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yep. So I'd like to jump into our favorite section of the show. It's called the Rapid Fire.
Okay.
So, Lauren, are you ready?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
You're ready. All right, sounds good. Have you ever been called a noogler?
No, that's actually usually refers to the full-time employees. So you know the hats that you get with the ours say intern, and the full-time people actually say noogler on them.
Oh, see,
that's a little fun for you.
Yeah, I'm learning new stuff. All right, you're good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, next question: Disney Plus or HBO Go?
Disney Plus.
Timon or Pumbaa?
Timon, I guess.
All right. Do you have an annual pass to Disney?
No, not yet. I was going to get one after my internship, but no, I don't have one.
Oh wow! So are you still planning on getting a pass after the internship, or like you cancel the internship, so like no Disney pass anymore, right?
You know, I don't know. I kind of still mixed feelings on whether I want to like support them.
Yeah.
But, I have really.
Sid and I cancel our Disney Plus after hearing about your story.
Oh yeah, you guys boycotted Disney Plus. Yeah. I appreciate that.
We support you. All right. So, favorite Disney princess?
Ooh, I like Moana. That's a good one.
Moana, yeah. All right. Netflix or Disney Plus?
I actually don't have a Disney Plus account, so I'm gonna have to say Netflix.
All right.
All right. Favorite Disney villain?
Favorite Disney villain? Ooh, that's a hard one.
It is, because like I honestly I don't remember their names. So I was talking to Foods right before this. I was like, I don't like the shark in Nemo, but I don't know its name.
The shark in Nemo is pretty funny. That's a good one.
Isn't it like Maleficent? I don't know. I'm not even pronouncing it right.
Maleficent, the one in Snow White?
Yeah, the one in Snow White.
Oh, I don't. Okay, I don't.
Maybe. Oh no, the dolls were good characters, right?
I would say, shoot, I don't remember the name. I think it's Hans, the guy in Frozen.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Because like he like seems like a good character the whole time, and then like he kind of like flips in the last 30 minutes of the movie. So I would give him props for being disguised well as a villain.
All right, I'm up. So which Disney character the world can be without?
I'd say probably one of like the earlier ones, like Aurora or like Cinderella. Like I didn't really vibe with their stories as much, so I'm gonna say we could probably survive without them.
Oh wow, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, sorry, don't put this.
Cinderella, this is for you.
All right, Epcot or Magic Kingdom?
Ooh, it's a very East Coast question of you guys to ask.
I mean, I get the flex.
Is one of those the ones with the food?
No. So I know Magic Kingdom has food. Epcot's like the one with Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that.
Ooh, then I'm gonna go Epcot. I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Me too. That's a good choice.
Makes sense. So what's your dream job? Anything you can do in the world.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't know. Honestly, I just want to work somewhere that has like massage chairs. My internship last summer had massage chairs, and like sometimes I just sit in them waiting for like my like train or whatever to go home. It's very peaceful. So honestly, I don't even care where it is as long as it has massage chairs. That's the answer I'm gonna go with.
All right, firms, if you're listening, this is top priority for interns. So like, get massage chairs.
Yeah, for all you companies out there, get massage chairs. People.
All right, last question. Favorite co-host, Sid or Shafuz?
That's a hard one. I don't know. I think you guys are both great equally. I can't make a decision. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
You're going you know the sharpness. You know the sharpness.
No, it's fine, Shafuz. You can't convince people to choose you.
We're 0-0 on this, then, Sid.
All right.
Thanks for being such a great sport, Lauren. That was awesome. And I think so. And jumping on, I think this is one of the things we are like most excited about to just dive a little more into about the experience with Disney as you heard about the internship cancellation, because there were definitely so many students who got their offers canceled, right? So we saw it everywhere happening.
Yeah.
That was one of the main reasons why we wanted to like help out students in however we can. So what was the experience like? Is that something like you were expecting to happen? Did they give you a heads up on this, or?
No, honestly, that's kind of one thing that kind of irritated me about the process, because again, like obviously it's really hard for them to tell, like they had to go through closing the parks and stuff, but we did get an email from our recruiter like kind of towards the end of March, and they were like, oh yeah, like I know there's all these concerns about coronavirus, but like we are planning on like moving our program, like we are planning on like keeping our program like the same, like in person, and if there's any updates, like we like you guys will be the first to know. So I was like, okay, like sounds good, like they'll probably figure it out, they're a big company. And they were like, you guys will be the first to know if anything changes. And then basically they did tell us that like earlier back, like once when I accepted my offer back in December, excuse me, they said we'd start project matching in like March and like February, and I was like, okay, we haven't started project matching, kind of sus, because the internship should be starting soon. And then basically, like, I think it was like a Wednesday morning in like the end of April, like April 20 something, which was like less than a month before my internship was supposed to start. I got a call from my recruiter and they were like, yeah, like, I'm sorry, like we've had to do a lot of layoffs, like the park is closed, like it's just like really hard for us as a company right now. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to make an internship happen for like any of our interns this summer. Like, I know this sucks. And I was like, okay, like I kind of saw this coming because we didn't do any project matching and it's been very quiet on their end, like especially for like a month before. And I had seen like a lot of people getting their internships canceled, and I was like, oh yeah, like that's probably not going to be me. Like I'm working at a big company, like fine. But they did end up canceling it. And one thing that kind of bothered me like a few weeks after is I found this like article that was like posted on some news site about like Disney internships getting canceled. And like the professional internships, which is like the ones that like I was doing like a week or a week and a half before I actually like got the call from my recruiter. So that kind of bothered me because it seemed like there was like a news source that knew about it before I knew about my own internship cancellation. We would be the first to know. So that was a little bit disappointing for me. But, you know, just I guess, you know, failure is a part of everyone's story or whatever, you know. Things can't always go your way. What's the fun in that one? So, yeah.
Wow. That's really, that's such a great conversation. I mean, you taking it like not as negatively as a lot of people possibly could, you know, there's two ways of thinking about things. There's the positive side that, okay, let's move on. Let's focus on the next thing. And then there's other people who are just like, can't do anything now. It's like 2 weeks before I was supposed to start.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that messaged me on LinkedIn, and they were like, yeah, like, I don't know what to do. Like, my internship got canceled. And I was like, well, I think, like, you should make a LinkedIn post. Like, I know it kind of sucks to, like, tell other people, like, yeah, I was so excited about this and it got canceled. But, like, it's not really your fault, like, that, like, this happened. Like, no one could have predicted this happening. And I was like, just, like, put yourself out there, like, really, like, just, like, try and get another internship because obviously you're qualified enough to get one in the first place. Like, if people are still hiring, like, they'll hopefully want to look at your profile and give you that time of day to interview you and talk to you, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like firstly, like really hats off. Just you were like still trying and you were still making some efforts. I think personally, I would have been very like demoralized and like pretty broken up, and I wouldn't really know what to do because that would be like sucks. That would just suck, I guess. And that's crazy. And like. But I'm glad you mentioned LinkedIn because I definitely what I'm really excited to know is like what did you like do like did you because there's the LinkedIn post that you made, but what were your mindset to that? Like how did you prepare? Did you think a lot about that? Were you reaching out to people before?
Yeah, so kind of my timeline was like I said, like Wednesday morning I got a call. I was still in school. It was maybe dead week actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. Or the week before, I don't know. So I got that and I was like, shoot, like, I know that like time is of the essence. Like I need to make a LinkedIn post like fast. So they called me maybe at like 9:20. I had a 9:40 class. I texted my friend and I was like, can you take notes for me? Like, I want to finish my personal website because I started working on it over spring break. And then I was like, okay, like, I think that'll really like help people. Like if they see my LinkedIn post, like they can have like a fun little website to scroll through and like see pictures and like descriptions and links to all of my like projects and stuff. So basically I ditched one of my classes that morning to finish my website and I like didn't stand up from like where I was sitting at my desk until I had it done and like everything was like pushed out on GitHub. I made a little draft of like the post that I wanted to send. I sent it over to my friend to proofread it because I'm a computer science major. I'm not very good at writing. So I wanted to make sure it, you know, did not sound like a 5-year-old was writing it. So basically like I was like, oh, like it's time to go, like we have to like post this, like I have to get this out, like it's less than a month before internships are gonna start. So basically like I like didn't even like stop to like be upset about it. Like I was just like, okay, like we need to like go. Like we need to like get going and like get on our way to like setting up like interviews, talking to people and like seeing if it is still available. So that was kind of my mindset about it, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
Wow, that's really awesome. Just quickly, Lauren, do you mind if I bring up the post?
Go for it.
All right, so I'm just going to share my screen for a quick second because I think everyone really needs to see this because this is
It's really good to see this. Yeah,
This is like the peak of self-advertising.
the post of the post. This is like the motherlode of all LinkedIn posts that was ever made.
So as you guys can see, like it's descriptive. It talks about Lauren's background, and essentially, this is what Shafuz and I were talking about. It's got 642 comments, likes, and 84 comments. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, that's so many. Oh my god. I think like so many like recruiters, founders, and CEOs. I think the founder of Jumpstart commented there.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I absolutely freaked out when I saw that.
Yeah, the Ben Harmon guy, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
yeah. I messaged him 2 years ago. He still hasn't responded. Ben, if you're listening to this, man, like you gotta respond to me at some point.
You should reply to his comment on the post right there. Be like, "Hello, please."
Yeah, that's
so.
I know, right? That's crazy. So what would you? I guess that I know you probably have your own question, but I wanna know is that what would you tell people when they're trying to make a LinkedIn post to make it very heartfelt, to make it very genuine? What should people focus on? Like when they're trying to reach out to people and get them out there. Like,
sure. So for like internship stuff, definitely like try and highlight like things that make you different. Like kind of I talked about like how I had like leadership experience and that Forbes under 30 thing. Is it legit? We don't know, but it does make you different. So, throw it in there. And definitely like I think having a personal website is like really important. Like even someone who like doesn't even work in tech, like they messaged me, they were like, I saw your post, I was inspired, and like I made a personal website because like it seemed to work for you. So I would say like having like your own little website, like even if you make it on like those like pre-made ones like Wix or whatever, just like it's like way more interesting to look through your information on one of those than it is on like a resume or like a school transcript or whatever. So definitely like have like a fun way to present your information. And definitely like reach out to people. Like I connected with people that like I thought I had things in common with. Like I saw a post from someone, I think it was at like Raytheon, and they were saying they were still hiring. I clicked on her profile and I saw that she did SWE in college, so I added her and I was like, hey, like I see you did SWE, like I'm a big like SWE person. And then like basically like she connected with me and she actually like wrote me a referral to a few positions. So definitely like when you're making a post, like make it about you, like talk about yourself, your interests, what maybe makes you different from the next candidate. And when you're reaching out to people, like definitely just try and find people that have something in common with you. Like school alumni is definitely like a really big one. LMU is a small school, so I kind of didn't necessarily look into that avenue as much, but more like other people that were in SWE or maybe other people that were in the same sorority or like Google. Like I would be like, oh, like I see you used to recruit at Google. Like I interned there for a few summers. Like I don't know if they really care, but like I think just like sending a message that says like I looked at your profile and like you're not just some random recruiter that I'm copy and pasting a message to. Definitely got me farther, I would say, than just like a very like generic message would have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm definitely gonna go back to this recorded version of this video and take notes from there. There was a lot of good information there, so thank you for sharing all those.
Of course, yeah.
Speaking about notes, Lauren, I know you have a book recommendation, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. So I'd like to hear just a little bit about that. How did that impact you?
Sure. So that's something I read maybe a few summers ago. It basically talks about Sheryl Sandberg, and she went to Harvard. She basically like networked her way into, I think, like her first job, which was kind of at like maybe a banking company. And then she ended up taking like a role at Google, and she was one of the first people that worked, like one of the first like female executives that worked at Google right when they were getting started. And she actually has this really cool part where she was pregnant, and if you ever go to a Google campus, they have specific spots for like expecting mothers. And she talks about in her book how like there was no parking. She had to walk all the way across this parking lot. She was like 6 months pregnant or something, and she like came into the CEO and he was like, she was like, you need to do something about this. So super inspirational. Like she's like made all of these changes, like small things like that, as well as like big business decisions for companies like Google, and then she shifted over to Facebook. So she's done a lot of super, super awesome things in her life, and she's just like so inspiring as like a female like boss figure. Like she's super awesome. I think one, like it's really inspirational to read just like as like women in STEM, minorities in STEM, talks about like how even though you might not fit in, like it's important to like try and like bring yourself into those spaces and like assert yourself if people aren't respecting you. And one of my favorite things she talked about in the book was your career isn't like a ladder. You should think of it more as like a playground. So you know how people think of like, oh, like I did this position, like I need to do something that's like better the next time, like, and then better, and like keep going up. But she kind of says like, no, think of it more as like a playground, like try out different things. Like don't be afraid to try out a new role. Like even if it's not like a direct promotion, because she kind of says like that's the best way to learn and get the most experience. So I think that's something really important that people don't really realize when they're planning out their career path. So I really enjoyed reading about that. And it was just like a very entertaining book overall. Like I would recommend it. Really awesome.
It's really nice. I think Shafuz and I definitely need to go back and read that one.
Yeah. I'm going to add that to my list of books that I have been reading for the last 5 years. I haven't read yet.
Finished books.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So Shafuz, you want to take the next question?
I think one thing I was like definitely wanted to like, I know there was like so many input here about like you were giving so many recommendations and stuff, but especially with like COVID-19 internships and so many internships getting canceled, right? Because we're interacting with so many students who reached out to us for a lot of with their just helping them out and stuff. What would be like and like 3 or 4 things you would tell them, you would recommend students right now who may still be looking or who still have something and how they're like trying to prepare for a post-COVID world. Especially I want to also like just to hear your mindset, because I think your mindset is like in the way that not giving up and still fighting for it. And I'd love to just like hear your thoughts on that. Like how should people think about it?
Yeah, sure. Preparation wise, I think what's great, like obviously coronavirus sucks, like things have been getting canceled left and right. But a lot of places like Code Academy, like they've made things accessible for free. So, you know, even if you don't have an internship, like learning a new skill, like building a project based off of that is like a really great way to prepare, even if you don't have an internship for that summer. Other things that are good, like definitely kind of like what I did, if you had an internship that got canceled, make a post about it. I also reached out to other people that I interviewed with, like back earlier in the year, that either offered me things or like wanted me to do another round of interviews, but I declined because I'd already signed an offer. And like that I think is a really good way to like keep in contact with your recruiter, even if they don't have any openings. And like some of them were like, oh, we don't have openings, but like if you're interested in the fall, like come back and like apply later. So I think that's good. Like if your summer internship gets canceled, if you can see if you can find something for the fall, like that's really great. Kind of just like flipping whether like you can take classes in the summer, intern in the fall, like whatever. For like tech internships specifically, like just studying for those technical interviews is so important. Like again, like something that I'm really big on is like the community of computer science. Like I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without like the people in my classes, like my friends that I have that also do computer science. Like study with a friend, like take them to like a room with a whiteboard and have them ask you questions from like cracking the coding interview or leak code or whatever, and like you do them on like a whiteboard while you like talk through it. Like I definitely think like getting as close as you can to like that interview experience is like very important. I like go to a lot of conferences. Like I go to the Society of Women Engineers conference, and those are also really good ways not only to like connect with recruiters, but learn about like jobs, go to workshops. And that was like a really great way that like you get to be face to face with someone when you're like selling yourself rather than just putting in an internship application online. And I think that also definitely really increases your chances of getting interviews and getting internships.
That's really insightful. That's such great tips. I mean, I would highly recommend to take that last like 2 minutes and like rewatch it, because there's so much information in there. And I can so relate to it.
We should cut that short clip and just put it out there. Yeah. So
definitely. Yeah. That was really awesome. So Lauren, just going back, I think something I'm really sort of interested in learning about is SAP. So that's your current summer internship. Just tell us a little about the company and what you're going to be doing, what you're looking forward to this summer.
Yeah, sure. So I basically just finished my first week there. Their headquarters are in Germany, so they're actually kind of like they started like in Europe. And they moved over here. Basically, they just make business tools. So businesses often use SAP's tools. Excuse me.
Take your time, Lauren. We've been grilling you for 45 minutes straight.
So basically, just they make business tools. A lot of businesses use them. So basically, what I'm doing this summer is this thing called like digital credentials and a digital identity. So basically what the concept of that is like, say like you're a college grad and you're looking for a job. Instead of having to like apply and put all your information in, you can have like an online digital credential of like your college, like your transcript, which kind of talks about like your GPA, like your information, like birth date, like whatever like information they might need. And if you apply to a job online, basically you can like scan this QR code and say like, I'm applying. So say you're applying to SAP, you scan this code and on your phone, like on this app, it will say like, oh, like SAP wants to connect with you, and you say yes, and then you apply. They're able to kind of like conduct like basically they can get information from your like digital identity that you have on this app. And if they want you, they can be like, oh, we want like a copy of your college transcript, and basically you can just send it over using your application, like that digital information that they already have stored. So basically the benefit of that is like, so say you're conducting like a background check, like you don't have to go through third parties. Like there's not really like a paper trail. It's all digital. So there's less room for errors. It goes faster. It's cheaper. So I'm working on that with another intern as well as I think like 3 or 4 software engineers. So I'm doing that this summer. It seems really cool. I honestly didn't even know anything about it until I started, but it seems really cool and seems like a really good way to use technology to make life more efficient. So I'm really excited about working on that one.
That is so awesome. Well, we hope you have an amazing, amazing summer. I think what we'd like to jump into next is the Q&A section. So for that, we're actually trying out this new thing. We have one of our team members, Siki. So I'm going to bring her onto stage. She actually has a question. So we'll go ahead with that.
Sounds good.
Hey, Siki, welcome. So Siki's been working with Sharfuz and I on the platform. She's been helping out quite a bit. So thanks for that, Siki. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Siki, what question do you have for Lauren?
All right. So in your interning process, what was the most difficult and to an extent annoying thing about interning and like trying to get an internship?
I would say like the most annoying thing by far is like if you apply to a job and like if you interview with them, like kind of having to chase the recruiter down for like follow-up information is really annoying because obviously like you can apply to a lot of jobs and a lot of them like you just won't hear back. But I feel like if you went through like the process of having a recruiter call or doing like an interview, like they kind of owe you that answer and like shouldn't really ghost you like that. So that's one thing that like I don't particularly like about the process. Another thing that's kind of annoying about it, I don't know, that's definitely like one main thing. I'm trying to think if there are any others. I would say that's probably like the one that's
So it's not as bad.
It's not as bad. I definitely have had to like email people, be like, hey, like I did 3 rounds of interviews. Like, am I gonna get a reply? Or which is definitely like something like I would definitely rather just hear like no less than 24 hours after I interviewed than like wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I'm not a huge fan of.
Wow, that's exciting to hear. Siki, did that answer your question?
Definitely.
All right, I'm glad. So we actually do have another question. So I'll just bring that up on the screen from the audience. So thanks, Moss, for the question. Sharfuz, you want to go ahead and read up?
Yeah, so Moss is wondering that as somebody still in college, what are some of the main resources you have used to seek out your internships? Like top 3 or 4 4 resources you have used so far?
Yeah, sure. So one is Jumpstart, honestly, like their student form that they have. That's actually where I got like a pretty comprehensive list of those like early programs for like minorities in like STEM as well as like first and second year students. So like just like going on like threads like that where people can talk about internships, I think are really important. I would say talking to people like in your school that are like a year older than you and like asking them about their experience, like how they kind of like got their internship. Like I think that's really good to talk to other people, figure out like their process. I would say I think I had someone from high school actually reach out to me like after my summer at Google. They asked me how I liked it, and they actually like asked me to write a referral for them. I couldn't because my internship already ended, so I felt really bad. But she ended up like working there this summer, so she's totally chilling. But I would say like reaching out to other people, like if they have a job that like you're interested in or an internship that you're interested in, like talk to them. Like if you don't know them, set up, those like informational interviews so you can learn more about their position. Or if you do know them, like ask them what they liked about it, and then like maybe ask them if they could like write you a referral or if you want to have a chat. I think that's really great because a lot of companies have those referral programs that definitely do give you a really big leg up. So that's like definitely just don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like LinkedIn is a huge one. Like see what like your other peers, like people from high school, other people in college that you don't talk to, people from prior internships, like whatever, see what they're up to. And like if you're interested in it, like definitely like take a look at their profile, see like what experience they have that got them there. I definitely say just like go on LinkedIn, spend a lot of time on there, and kind of see what other people are up to. And I think that will like inspire people to know like what they should get involved in and like kind of who to contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very, very awesome.
Yeah, those are some really great 3 or 4 pointers, and we send out this takeaways after like the next day after this session. So definitely those are some really valuable information there. Well, Moss, thank you so much for the question. I hope that answers it. Yeah.
So let me just jump in there. So I think one thing I'd also recommend for that question, and this brings it really just ties in perfectly because this week I actually had a conversation with one of my friends from University of Rochester, and she's actually working on this job shadowing platform called YOLO Shadow. And it's right here. You spell it as YOLO Shadow. So it's a pretty cool idea. They're actually offering students an opportunity to job shadow people who are working in a professional field. So people working at major companies, people running their own startups. So it really provides for a really great opportunity for people still in college to learn about these job fields before actually investing in a summer internship or a full-time job. So it's definitely something you guys should check out if you guys are sitting this summer, maybe don't have an internship or anything of that sort.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so definitely huge shout out for them.
All right. So Sharfuz, you want to quickly summarize, and we can get we can get Lauren back to our busy day.
It's been 54 minutes, and we usually tell people, guys, we're going to make it within 45 minutes-ish. But Lauren, we just had such a great time talking to you today. Oh my God. I lost track of time. I think that was really, really amazing. But I think it's time like for us to just for us to wrap up for the day today. And yeah, I think Lauren, I think there was like some of the things like what would be like some like at least like 1 or 2 things you would just recommend people like overall you would say like any lasting thoughts or any parting ideas you'd want to share with people.
Honestly, just don't be afraid to get rejected. Like even with that Forbes thing, like I've applied to scholarships positions that like even if you don't think you're qualified, just apply for it because the worst thing that they can say is no. That's definitely like a big thing. Just kind of go for it and try and not act like you're, like, oh, like what do I have to offer? Like there's probably so many better people. Like you don't know that necessarily. Like you don't know who's going to be reading your application. They might think it's like totally awesome. So my advice is definitely just like apply for what you think like you would want to do. Like apply for your dream job, and like if they say no, like it's fine. You can come back another year. You can apply for it. Like if you have like an interview with them, like then you'll know how to prepare for it the next time you apply for the job. So definitely just don't be afraid of failure. It's definitely something that I've learned over my past years in college and has definitely gotten me my experience and my internships.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, no, definitely. I just love that you said like the worst thing that could happen is they'll say no, and you could just try again. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing all that. it. So I guess it's curtains closing time for us for the day.
Yep, it is. All right. So thanks so much, Lauren, for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. We're shutting down.